folks. Welcome to the Cybernetic Séance podcast. This is episode 7. Dun dun dun. I hope everyone's having a beautiful Wednesday here. We are live from Heatwave, California. Anyone who's living out here right now in Southern California, stay inside, stay cool, because it's fucking hot. Besides all that peril, it's wonderful. See, we already got some people in here right now. Hello, everyone. Hello. Let's go. What's up, Ravage? All right, guys. I want to get all my plugging here out of the way so we can get into the show. In case some of you guys do not know, Our Frankenstein is running a summer merch sale. That's right. And we also have some limited summer merch. So let me if I can do this right. There we go. We got this link going here. And let's just run the fucking Yeah, so there you have it. We have some tank tops up there. Those guys are going to be gone by the end of this month. So October 1st, no more tank tops. So get them while you can. It's hot right now, so you might as well wear them. But that is all out of the way. Enough about me. More about this guest we have here today. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have the elusive, the legendary, the sensual, maybe? Ladies and gentlemen, Brenton Fergeson. Woo! Fake audience clap.
How's it going?
It's going, my dude. How you doing? You staying cool?
I am. It's nice and air conditioned in my house today. Doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, man. It's good. It's good to see your face. In case anyone who's watching right now does not know, Brenton and I, we go back a little bit. We're some good friends. He actually was in Our Frankenstein for a little bit. There was a time, and he actually is the mastermind behind a lot of Our Frankenstein songs. So all of a Pale Horse, a couple of songs off of Hypercult, definitely had Senior Brenton's handiwork on it. But enough about Our Frankenstein, because this gentleman here doesn't just do. He's not one trick pony, as you would say. Talk a little bit about yourself. Talk about how you are. I guess what you do.
Well, currently I just left my last band, and I'm focusing on, as far as music goes, just focusing on producing and engineering for clients and their projects. I kind of put my new project on the back burner for now. I just finished an album that's coming out on Friday. And so once that comes out, I'm kind of putting music like creatively on the back burner to just like focus on some other stuff. But yeah, just primarily producing, engineering local bands, or even like I just made like a Fiverr, so people who like send stuff from all over the world or whatever, they find my profile and want me to mix for them. And
send me the link for that if you can, because I'll post that up here. So if anyone needs any work done, they can visit
for
the
sure.
link.
Yeah, I will get that while we're talking because I don't know where I put it. But yeah, that's just a little bit about me currently.
What are some of the projects that you have had worked on besides Our Frankenstein? I mean, is there anything else that you can say about your musical history? I know it, but they don't know it.
Yeah, definitely. So pulling up, and like I have a studio portfolio on Spotify of like all the songs I've either mixed or produced or co-written or performed on, you name it, anything I've been a part of. Worked with quite a few names between, as we all know now, Our Frankenstein. My friend Trevor, he does all his music more on like the rap genre. My last band stuff, Concrete, another local Southern California like surf rock beach punk band, the Flores, a couple other rappers, singer songwriters, but yeah, I'd say the most current stuff that I'm working on with a client or have worked on is actually my girlfriend's brother. He does a lot of kind of like Suicide Boys style rap, and just been producing and mixing for him a lot.
And that's dope. I mean, that brings me back to like kind of when I met you. You were recording and writing with. You had your own group at the time called. I don't know if you want me to talk about it, but Tundra Click. You know, you had that
Oh
going, and that
gosh.
was that kind of just brings me back a little bit because there was a whole lot of. It was just, at least for me, you know, coming into your guys' environment, it was super cool because it was just like whole new world. You guys are writing things on the spot, you know, making beats on the spot, or you know, however you guys get the beats, and it was just like super, just uh, like just there's no second guessing about it. It was just everything was kind of in the moment and on the spot, and that kind of that's funny that you mentioned the Suicide Boys esque stuff you were recording for your girlfriend's brother, because I actually wanted you to talk about some of the old stuff you used to do if you were interested in doing that.
Yeah. Well, when we met, I was primarily doing rap myself, and I had like a little rap group, as Ryan just said. And gosh, those days were something else. We would just make like tons of songs like every other day. And yeah, we were always putting out music as a group or individually with each other on the songs. And then um yeah, I kind of got started in that just listening to like the end of high school, kind of like Bones and Suicide Boys and Lil Peep and all that SoundCloud rap stuff. And yeah, it just like really sparked my interest because that was like the first time I saw like, whoa, these people are like making music out of their bedrooms and like it's blowing up. Like that's crazy. Like I didn't know that was a thing. And then once I got involved in that, like my whole world kind of changed. And yeah, like I said, we were just making music all the time. Our first show was with Ryan back in like 2017, 2018. I don't really remember. Um, and yeah, it was an interesting show because it was like our rap group and then like Ryan's side project, dark rap kind of stuff, and then a couple like hardcore bands, and it was really fun because like we were blending, like we were combining two scenes in essence, and like people seemed to really like it because we did it a couple more times or like started
Yeah.
combining influences when we'd write new music. Um,
Yeah, it was cool for me because I felt like coming into your guys' environment, which was funny because I was doing the dark rap trap stuff, which was
yeah.
entirely produced by you. I was more or less inspired by you guys going into that because I was like, okay, I come from a rock and roll industrial background, and you know everything is super like. If anyone knows anything about industrial producers, they never finish a song. You know, it takes like 20 fucking years for them to finish an album. but but with you guys, it was like right there, and you guys would release the song that night or the next day, and to me that was like, what, you guys are
Yeah.
just doing it? And then people listen and tune in, and then if anything it had much more of a public reaction than just, hey guys, I got this album that's going to come out in 3 months, and here's 3 months worth of hype, and everyone forgets about the album, as opposed to
Mhm.
you guys were just boom, putting out songs right then and there. And just that approach to music astounded me. And like you said, kind of like finding these artists that were making music out of their bedroom, Lil Peep, and you know, I was really big into like Ghost Main, and you know,
Yeah.
on the side, never told anyone but ICP, which now, you know, I hold no shame now, but at the time definitely was a huge influence, that whole slasher murder rap kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whoop
Yeah.
whoop. But it was really interesting, and we even because you had some opportunities to do shows as just yourself um after that. We But you had invited me and a couple of the guys from Tundra on for a specific show. Is there anything you could tell us about that
I
one?
already know which one you're talking about. Yeah,
Mhm.
the studio I was working for, I was an intern at the time, and my like first big like job for them was booking. a festival with Snoop Dogg. So I had to like call up all these like random rappers over LA and Orange County, and then it was like a week before the show, and the the label owner was like, "We need like one more act. Do you know anybody, or do you like make music?" I'm like, "Yeah, I make music. Like, I'll hop on it." And just spur of the moment, I like texted the guys, and Ryan was included, and like we did a few songs, like this random little indoor festival thing in Santa Ana, and it was like it was really weird, but it was just we were the odd ones out for sure because like we're bringing all this like dark rap or sad rap stuff, and like everyone else was like hype beasts and like or like old school flows, and it was just like we didn't fit in, but it was fun
Yeah.
because of that because we just like didn't care.
Yeah, it was interesting because it was like a lot of like old hip hoppers as well. You know, you
Yeah,
have like the old because it's Snoop Dogg, you know, so it's like old school LA guys are chilling there, and I'm there with my fucking green mohawk. You know, I have like my green mohawk, and I think I wore a really inappropriate shirt that I won't talk about on the air, but
I
it
don't
was
even
like
remember that.
I remember because there was a picture of us in front of the giant banner that we had done,
Yeah.
and wow, yeah, that was weird. It was fun, but it was interesting. You know what? It was at the sports, not the sports arena, but the video game spot in Santa Ana. I'm trying to remember the name of the
Yeah, the
place.
esports arena. It was like
Yeah.
I didn't even know it existed, but it was like a giant almost auditorium thing, and they like pushed everything out, so it's just a big stage with like all the lighting and sound system. So it turned into like a venue.
Yeah. Never been there before, but I went there after and it was a total different vibe for sure. But it was a fun show and I was like super stoked you invited me on.
Yeah,
Um
no, it was fun for sure. Um, yeah.
Segueing from that, shortly after that you joined Our Frankenstein for a little bit. Not a little bit. You were probably with us for God, time is goes by quick. Maybe a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah, I think it was just almost 2 years.
Yeah.
I remember when I first joined, I was not of age at the time, so I wasn't able to officially join or something like that. I had to, like, wait a little bit till my birthday,
We were
and then I
playing a
was
lot of
able.
21 plus venues, and I don't wanna be that guy because I've seen bands where they're like they have, like, their members that are, like, 18 and they make them wait in the car or some shit. I'm like,
Yeah.
"No, we'll wait a couple of months and then" you know?
Yeah, yeah. No, I remember what started though is, because we had started hanging out as more of, like, a professional relationship, like, it started off, like, you were coming to me for some work, and we started working on your solo stuff, and then that turned into Our Frankenstein's Scorpion IEP, which I don't
Mhm.
think is online anymore. Maybe it's on your Bandcamp or
It's
SoundCloud.
on it's on our Bandcamp and SoundCloud. We had a weird, like, moment with TuneCore, and they basically took off our, uh our album. Like, the EP just, like, one day was there and not. And it wasn't like, "Oh, you forgot to, pay your monthly payment or something." I'm
Mhm.
pulling back the veil here a little bit for people. TuneCore, I'm still a boomer, so I should be on like that DistroKid shit, but I'm still I was using TuneCore at the time for distributing my music, and yeah, they just took Scorpion Eye off. I don't know what it is, but I'll be honest, I was kind of like disgruntled with it. I've always wanted to like update it. So I feel like if I'm gonna put it back on major platforms, it's definitely gonna be like the new and improved Scorpion Eye or something.
Yeah, totally. That would be really cool because I think I still have all those files somewhere. Like touch things up or just redo it completely. But oh no, that's just I was just gonna say that's what how we got started is because I was doing that. I was like producing and engineering that for you guys. And then once it was done, your first show at Bar Sinister, I think it was, where you'd be performing those songs. You asked me if I wanted a special guest on one of them, and then we did that, and it was like the chemistry was just there at the time, and Yeah, and then I had that little few month waiting period until I turned 21, and then, um, in that meantime, I think I had actually started working on Pale Horse, like, the very early stuff. It was, like, that
Yeah.
summer, um,
Mhm.
2018 maybe, um,
Yeah, I
and
think so because we started. I think Bubonic and Persephone had started forming around that time.
yeah, yeah. No, that's right. Because my first official show as part of you guys was, in, like, that September, and when we were out in Arizona hanging out with your guys' manager, I showed him, like, the 2 early, like, demos of Bubonic and Persephone, I think, were the
Yeah,
2,
yeah,
and then we
definitely.
busted that out, like, super fast.
That was
Actually,
great.
no, I say it was fast, but it honestly, like, did take a while. I feel like it was a good amount of time to spend on an album.
I remember recording most of the vocals for Persephone, kind of there on the spot because we came up with the piano. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was like an arpeggio that was originally in like was like a synthwave scale or something, and then I was like, "Oh, make that a grand piano." I think it was something
Yeah.
that you had for a completely different song too.
Yeah, it was like some loop, and then we kinda deconstructed it, and you, were picking out some of the sounds that we wanted to switch things to, and, like, we kinda shifted some notes around.
Yeah, yeah, that one felt pretty organic. But I
Yeah.
want to segue. We'll talk more about a pale horse because I definitely think that'll be a topic we'll talk about here more. But we do play music on this whole thingy ding. So before we even play something, give us a brief talk about this project because you briefly mentioned Blood Pact, and I want to play something off of this album that's going to be coming out. And anything you can say about that album?
Yeah, so, my new project, Blood Pact, it's considered a band, but it's just me, for right now, playing all the instruments and doing all the studio work. Um, it's more of a loose idea of, like, what a band means, I guess you could say, because 'cause I've, like, expressed openness into, like, having other people come in to, like, record parts with no, like, real plans of wanting to, like, ever really perform. That's part of, like, my enlightening, I guess you could say, in terms of, like, finding myself in the music industry, but, yeah, without, like, performing, just, like, coming in and recording and writing, like, tons of music and putting out songs as more of, like, a studio band. But, as far as, like, sounds, it's kind of considered, like, post shoegaze, so you take, like, 90s shoegaze or alternative stuff, like a ton of like reverb and chorus and fuzz and overdrive on like guitars and just super spacey textures. And then I'm combining that with like almost metal, like hardcore, post-hardcore elements. So it's like kind of emo, but not really. Like it's just
Okay.
heavy and like spacey. Um Yeah, super melodic backed by, like, really heavy riffs. And then I have, like, some softer stuff in there to, like, mix it up and, some more, like, just basic, like, alternative rock or kind of whatever I'm coming up with as long as it's, like, somewhat cohesive. Um, yeah, I mean, there's, like, inspirations I have from a little bit of Deftones to, like, 90s shoegaze, like My Bloody Valentine or, Slow Dive, and then early, like, not early, but 2000 stuff like Were and, um, man, I could just name a bunch, but I'm assuming, like, the crowd I'm talking to right now probably doesn't
They hear
listen to a lot of
Deftones, they're
shoegaze.
like, "Yeah,"
Yeah, yeah.
but I hear a
Um,
lot of Deftones in your shit, so I
yeah,
think
yeah, the influence is there, like, not as much vocals, um, to say, but more like the instrumentation of it all.
I think I like to think a lot of my listeners and fans out there have a lot of again a more open mindedness to music.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, definitely like going on tour, there was just a lot of different types of people that I encountered, and I feel like there's a humongous like openness to this, and that's why a main reason why I wanted to bring you on the show and showcase your music. Which
Yeah.
is what I'm going to do right now. So,
Okay,
with that
let's
being
do it.
said, ladies and gentlemen, Until I Break from Blood Pact, enjoy.
All right.
Oh man, I feel like I was just flying on a feather. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just tuning in now, you are watching the Cybernetic Séance podcast. I am your host, Ryan Laney, aka Ryan Frankenstein. Also, I play Nexus in Our Frankenstein. It's very confusing. I don't know why now I'm an Italian vampire. Mamma mia, I want to suck your pizza sauce. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. Ladies and gentlemen, let me get out of that for a second. Ladies, our guest here today is good old Brenton Fergeson of Blood Pact, formerly Our Frankenstein in Concrete. If you guys are just tuning in, we were just playing a song off of his new album, Lush, and that song was called Until I Break. My guy, is there anything you can tell us about that song?
Yeah. So there's a song that directly inspired that one. I won't say what though, because some of the parts I wrote for Until I Break were kind of close to
Oh,
what
fair.
inspired me. But there's a song from Narrowhead, and I just love how it starts off. It's just bam, 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 right off the top, and like I just wanted a song um so bad that just started like that. Just straight to the point, and then it kind of mellows out for the verses. Um I really, yeah, no, I just really wanted something that had like a lot of dynamic range in terms of um like songwriting structure. And I think like this song more or less is just about um man, I wrote a little something about, I'm not going to read it or anything, but
Okay.
just like taking a look at it. um Give me 1 second.
Max says this is beautiful, by the way.
Thank you, Max. You've been rocking with Ryan in the band for so long.
Says makes him think of the Pixies.
Interesting.
I fuck
That's
with
new.
that.
I haven't heard that before, but that's really interesting.
I
Cool.
can see that.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, okay, so the song is like, I've just like over the last 12 months, my life's like taken like a huge change, some for the better, some for the worse, just in terms of like um dealing with a lot of health issues that are kind of like debilitating. Part of the reason why I left my last band, just because I couldn't keep up with like the touring and shows all the time. But it's definitely taken like a toll on my quality of life, not in a depressing way, but just like when you're dealing with severe health issues for so long, um, it just gets hard to like wake up every day and know like, ah, I got to deal with this again because I don't have any answers. And it's like I'm actively trying to like seek help and answers. They just nobody really knows what's wrong with me. Um, so the song's just about that. Just like I'm still trying like to do my best, despite like how my body's breaking and how
God
I'm
damn.
not like losing hope, but like things are kind of mundane because of that. Where you start to like naturally lose hope, even though like in your head you're trying to fight that. So it's just like my song to just like let all that shit stuff. I don't know if I can cuss.
I originally had a rule when I first started the show to no cussing, and then I broke the rule within like 2 minutes. So
Okay.
let it free.
All right. But yeah, it's
The
just
vodka,
like this is water.
just
I'm actually sober now.
good for you.
Like
Good for you.
completely 100%. That's been a whole other story. But yeah, I'm just 12 months sober.
Nice,
I mean,
nice.
like I'll occasionally have like, a little bit of wine or something like that, but I consider that sober because compared to like how I was doing things before. But yeah, I don't even like smoke weed anymore or anything. Just good old nicotine. That's my one last vice.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, no, about the song, it's just like I wanted to really like yell those vocals, but I didn't want the song to be focused on the vocals. So I wanted to have really powerful vocals, like strong vocals, but just like still have them in the background. So that's why I added like a ton of reverb because that fits shoegaze genre and style. So
Would you
you
consider
get,
this project more of a shoegaze project, if anything?
I'd say it leans more towards that. I'd say the official term is just to call it post shoegaze because it has those elements of
Okay.
shoegaze, but like it's combining it with like a little bit of hardcore, a little bit of metal and stuff like that. But yeah, so I think I really like the effect of how you have these yelling almost vocals, but they're drowned out with like effects. And natural effects, not like stuff to really distort my voice or change how I sound, but just like add some spaciness to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Now that's a lot more powerful than probably what I was expecting and more most people would expect. But that's really real. I mean, and I'm sure that a lot of people could relate to that they're willing to do something until they break, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Totally,
Um,
totally. And like I one thing I wanted to say about that is like a lot of the lyrics I've wrote for this project were I kind of got stuck in a rut of like writing more straightforward and I lost a lot of like my quote unquote poetic edge that I thought I used to have. So with this project, I like really feel like I tapped back into that. So I really like the lyrics and like I'm proud of the lyrics on this album, but granted the genre, like one of the staples of shoegaze is like the lyrics are soft spoken, almost whispered. And you're like super close to the mic, like say like that kind of thing.
uh,
Yeah. Um, but like singing in that style, you lose like most people aren't really gonna decipher what you're saying. But I made sure to like write out all the lyrics like by hand before it came out. So when it does come out, like people will have access to the lyrics right away and be able to follow along with what I'm saying. But yeah.
that's dope. Yeah, that's a beautiful song and that's a powerful message. I mean, is there anything you can tell us about this? So I want to play another song here in a little bit then, but
Yeah.
uh I don't think you let us know quite yet. When does this entire project come out?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. This song or this album comes out in 2 days. So depending on your time zone, it'll probably be out like Thursday night. Um, like if you're on the West Coast, it'll be Thursday night, like around 9, and then midnight, like East Coast time. And oh yeah, so officially Friday, and it's 7 songs. Yeah, 7 with like a lot. The last one is like instrumental, just like something super heavy and like again emotional that I wanted to throw in there as like treat.
Beautiful. Well, on that topic of beauty, we're going to play another song off that album, Lush. And this particular song is called White Smoke. Here we go, folks.
All right.
Enjoy. Man, that was pretty. Ladies and
Space.
gentlemen, if you're just tuning in right now, welcome back to the Cybernetic Séance podcast. I am your host, Ryan Laney, aka Our Frankenstein. I play Nexus, the chrome faced lead singer of the band, Our Frankenstein. If you are just tuning in, we're here with our breast guest, our best guest breast, Brenton Fergeson. We were just playing
Hi,
one of
it's
his
me, the breast.
we were we were just playing a song from his new project Blood Pact, and that song was White Smoke. Man, that was another beautiful tunage. Got anything to say about that one?
Thank you. Yeah, no, I mean that whole song is just two chords of heaviness and reverb and fuzz, and I think that's another thing I wanted to mention. That's like a staple. That's such a like a little detail, but like taking feedback, like guitar feedback and vocal feedback, and making it like an instrument almost, like working it into the melodics of the song. That's something I had a lot of fun with doing. Like there was just tracks, like guitar tracks where literally I'm just holding my guitar up to the amp and like manipulating it to get the right feedback that I want. And just like dubbing that in right before it drops or something like that. But yeah, this project has been so much fun because it's like allowed me to um step out of my comfort zone, and it's something I've wanted to make for a while now, and just like kind of held myself back from it because I didn't think I was really capable. I was still doing like really simple like punk music, almost like alternative rock, and like it's fun and the songs are like fun and great, but I had just gotten myself in a rut where I wasn't like writing really cool like chord progressions and like melodic sections. So it's definitely allowed me to like get out there and improve my musicianship. And like, I mean, the album has all different kinds of like drop tunings on it, from like half step down to full step down to drop C sharp, drop B. Like there's a bunch on there. So I think that's also part of the reason it would make performing kind of hard, just because the amount of like guitars, it's not like a unrealistic amount, but I don't really want to go out and look for like three guitarists, like because I play guitar, and then I don't want to find three other guitarists and then a bassist and a drummer, and
Yeah,
then like get them to replicate the sounds that I made. I don't know. It's just it's
I don't
also
know, man. Don't
analog.
challenge people like that. You're on the show right now. You might be challenging some people right now that are like, all right, bet. Just saying, don't bluff like that. You never know. You might get some guys, some really good musicians barking up your tree right there, and they'll be like,
Yeah. Hey man, I'm open to it. If Ryan puts my socials down, just hit me up, because like I said, this project is like I'm down to work with people who live across the country or on yeah, across the country or in a different country, and just like are able to send me recordings, and like we can work that into a song or whatever. Like I'm just I'm at this point I'm just like my I just love making music and putting it out, and like I'm not trying to like create a life off of this, and like
yeah,
or get rich or anything, or even be known. Like if people listen to it and like it, that's sick. But yeah.
that's beautiful, man. I wanna go back a little bit here. I want to ask you a question because
Yeah.
we briefly talked about it. Uh, what was because I could talk about it, and I might, because I'm egotistical like that. But what was the sort of recording process for a pale horse like? Was like blah, blah, blah. What was the recording process for a pale horse like? Because God, I can't speak today. That was something we both did together, and as much as the other band members were involved in recording their parts, I feel like you and I the most were spent hours just like tinkering with the mix or like adding new things or new ideas. I feel like a lot of it was us kind of just piecing a lot of it together.
Yeah, with me having, like, a home setup studio and Ryan living 5 minutes from my house, we were just hanging out all the time working on this stuff, and, yeah, we, like, started off with, like, programming, like, electronic-based drums, not like an E-kit or anything, but like actual electronic, like, music drum samples and, like, 80s drum samples. Even though we had a drummer, we're like, screw you, dude." Like,
Yeah.
we're gonna use our stuff, at least for now. So, like, we
Yeah.
had the songs, like, fleshed out, and then, when it was time to add, like, the drummer's parts and our guitarist parts and bass parts, like, we just worked that in, and then we actually ended up, if I remember correctly, we used, like, a like hybrid of the 2. So a lot of the songs have like a raw drum kit with electronic drums meshing together, or synth bass and like a bass guitar like going at the same time, which I know is not like the craziest thing. People do that all the time. But it was I want to say it was like pretty cool for the genre that that album was under to like implement that. Because like, I mean, in my opinion, or at least like from the music I know, a lot of industrial music is like electronic based stuff all around. And so we were implementing more of like the rock and roll side of it, and then having like a hip hop drum kit over top of it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I look back on that project and like compared to a lot of things I've done after that, I don't know where your mind and my mind were at that time, like, because we were doing stuff. If I open up those sessions, we were doing stuff that, like, I wouldn't, like, naturally think to do right off the bat, like, now. Not
Yeah.
saying like that in a bad way, but it was just, like, we were such in a wildly creative headspace. I don't know if it was just we were going through something in our lives at the same time
Yeah.
for a while, that it just allowed us to, like, tap into something else that, is kinda there in the back of our minds, or, like, deep within ourselves, and we were just, like, sampling like crazy and blending so many things that you wouldn't think to blend, and, I think that project will always, like, hold a special place in my heart because of that, because it's, like, so personal from
Mhm.
you and I, like,
Yeah.
working on that together, because there would be, like, I remember there were sessions where, like, we don't have an idea of what we wanna do. Let's pull open this synth, and, like, Ryan, you'd mess around on the synth to, like, "Oh,
Mhm.
play those notes," like,
Yeah.
build something off that,
I
and then
was super abstract because I remember, like, I'm not necessarily a classically trained musician, so a lot of the ideas I was throwing at you were just kinda like, "Oh, make this and, see how that comes out," and
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
super weird.
totally, and I'm the same way, like, I just everything I do is just by ear. I don't know hardly any music theory. Like, I took a semester class in community college, and, like, but I can, like, play notes, I can play chords and hear them. So, with having that, it helped you to kind of bring things to life. I think the funniest thing about that whole album, though, was, like, we had what we thought we wanted for the album, like, done, and then it was, like, December, I wanna say, maybe January,
Mhm.
and, I was, like, in bed, like, I woke up or something, and then I was just, like, something popped into my head, so I, like, pulled my laptop on my lap, still laying in bed, like, plugged the headphones in, and just opened up a session and was, like, bam, 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 like, throwing, like, random crap to and turned into Hollywood Kids, and then Addressed Ya, like, the 2 that you can kind of tell are more similar compared to other songs on the album, like, they kinda fit together,
Yeah.
um, and it was like we were done with, like, the demoing of the album, and we're like,
Yeah.
"No, we gotta add these 2, because I sent them over, it was, like, 30-second snippet of, like, here's, like, the main beat, here's, like, what it
Mhm.
could be, um, And I think that was, like, the beauty of it just 'cause, like, we were doing things on the fly a lot, but it just that's just because that's, like, what we were feeling and we were, like, making the right moves doing so. So it was really cool.
Yeah, and it was super natural, and that's why I really love that album because although it's so eclectic, like, a lot of the songs don't necessarily work together, it flows in such a way because of just I don't know, like, there's experimental and there's that natural experimental that just, like, everything fits together, and I mean, it's interesting because if that hadn't happened, if you hadn't hit me up about because yeah, I remember you didn't even work on it in your studio, it was just on the laptop. You're like, "What's this?" "What do you think of this?" I'm like, "Oh my god." We have to, and now that's, like, the song. Hollywood Kid specifically is, like, the song from A Pale
Yeah.
Horse, that's the one that I notice when we're performing live that gets the best crowd reaction, everyone gets down to it most. It's my favorite part because 'cause we're on tour, and I had no idea if anyone knew our songs, but I'm looking out when we're performing that song, and there's just random guys chanting, "Hollywood Kids," and I'm like, "Whoa, that's so cool."
Yeah.
That even if you don't know all the words, as long as you know that part, that's
Yeah.
so
Yeah, yeah.
sick. Yeah.
Yeah, I think just when that song drops into halftime, like, 9 times out of 10, anybody who listens to, like, any kind of metal is like, "Oh, halftime. Yes." Just, like, get into it. Um,
Yeah,
and then, like, Madison, Gray's feature on that is just so, like he brings the seductive side of everything into it,
yeah,
and it was
yeah.
just it came together so nicely.
And that was a song he and I had been talking about writing for a long time, and, we wanted to base a song around a lot of, some of the, I guess, abuse that happens in the Hollywood industry, not to go too deep into that, this is a family show after all, but, that was an idea that we wanted to talk about for a long time and bring into light, and
Yeah.
when Brenton showed me that song and I just heard how upbeat it was, I was like, "Oh, I gotta call Madison right now." I'm
Yeah.
like, "Yep, this is happening. It's happening."
Yeah.
And it's my absolute one of my absolute favorites to play. That and Persephone for sure.
Totally, yeah. Then hopping into, like, synth wavy, like, dark wave 80s kind of post-punk, I don't even know, it's like a blend of multiple 80s styles with a little bit of industrial into Persephone, and that's a whole 'nother story in itself.
Yeah. We sorta I mean, we brought aside from A Pale Horse, we had you kinda come back and help us out a little bit on our last album that we just did called Hypercult. Uh, for those of you guys don't know, that album is out now. It's been out for since July. You can get that on any platform. But Brenton here actually helped out with one. No, there was 2 songs on this record that you helped out with. There
Oh,
was
yeah, interlude kind of thing.
yeah, he did the interlude, Media Cancer with us, and then he did helped us out with Inhale because you and I sort of wrote that together. I kinda had an
Yeah.
idea of the bass line, and then you kinda helped tweak that a little bit, and then
Yeah,
from there yeah.
if I remember correctly, you would come over to hang out and you were like, "Oh, I'm working on this new riff for OF, you wanna hear it?" "Yeah," and so, like, I plugged him in and, like, just let him, like, play through the bass or whatever, and I wanna say I could be wrong, but if I remember, it was a while ago now, almost, what, 2 years ago now? But it was,
Mhm.
we, like, flipped I wanna say we flipped the bass riff backwards or something like that.
We did, because I remember playing it completely different, and you told me to flip it backwards.
Yeah,
I
and
remember
then
that specifically.
turned into that and turned into this, like, almost surf rocky, psychedelic I don't even know.
I honestly, if you strip back all the gothy elements of the song, it is a surf rock song at its very
Yeah,
core.
yeah, the do like drum beat and,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I wanna say we did, like, that whole demo in just a couple hours, and then once you took it to the studio to record, obviously, you, like, made some changes, but More or less, it stayed pretty similar throughout the whole process of that song.
Yeah, there was, I think, a few different approaches. I remember being in the studio and I worked with Seven Dunbar and Nero Bellum, and I remember Nero had some other ideas he wanted for me to approach the song vocally. Because
Yeah,
originally there was as much I love the take that I did in the original demo, but it was a little more monotone. And Nero was like, you should, instead of this borrowed tie, you should be like this. He told me to raise my voice around a bit instead of being so stiff throughout the song. And
yeah,
there was just a few minor changes and tweaks, but overall the song is the exact same song. And it's funny we mentioned surf rock, because I mean, when we were writing that song, my approach was definitely like the Munsters and like Adam's Family sort of soundtrack type thing. Because
yeah,
if you listen back to a lot of those shows, it's like it's very surfy, it's very like classic, um almost, it's very like that 70s surf rock sort of thing.
yeah,
And but the spooky sort of element to it, and I wanted to recreate that, with the organ and the do da da do da do da da do da.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, totally. And it was like wild because I know a lot of the previous Our Frankenstein stuff is in like drop C or C
Hmm.
sharp. And we wrote that song in standard tuning. So it was
Yep.
just like interesting that, I mean, not saying that's not possible, but for like a band that's predominantly built off of drop tuning, it's like thinking like hearing Slipknot and then like, oh my God, they have a song in standard tuning. Why does it not feel as heavy? Or
Yeah.
something like that. Like the song maintained the elements that you wanted for OF, yet it was
Hmm.
just a completely different approach to even the first steps. So I'm excited to see what comes next, though,
Yeah,
based on that.
because we definitely are big fans of sort of that approach. And some we're gonna go back into the studio here pretty soon, and not to name names, but the person we're going to work with really wants to expand on that sound. And I think that's going to be something we're going to be getting into
Mhm.
uh, soon, someday. But yeah.
Yeah, totally. I don't know what you're announcing publicly yet, but if I had to express maybe some ideas to give you, I don't know what we
Shoot him
would,
at me.
but maybe bringing in some like 60s psychedelic into but not like the Beatles kind of side, more like the edgier, like if you
Like,
get a chance to listen to I got it right here. Um I Had Too Much to Dream by the Electric Prunes. Do you know that song?
yeah, yeah.
Something like that. It's got that edgy psychedelic feel. Cause I mean like Inhale, if it's built off surf rock like was right around the same time as like some like the psychedelic stuff, and a lot of times they were mixed. I don't know. There's ways to blend some new stuff into
There's
the
an
new music.
artist I'm actually incredibly inspired by, and he's sort of inspired the Chrome sort of Nexus mask, but he's a 70s artist, and I guess you would consider him more psychedelic. Have you ever heard of Arthur Brown?
I don't know. I'd have to
So
look them up.
I'm gonna show off some of this right now,
Okay.
but he is an interesting. And if you can't even see, the dude's got himself on fire here, and
Okay.
very Alice Cooper, pre Alice, almost like I without a doubt, I'm sure he inspired Alice Cooper to some degree, because that face paint is so like uncanny, and it's almost like corpse paint before corpse
Yeah.
paint ever existed. And this is
Yeah.
a like, yeah, so
It's almost like making me think of the Doors a little bit, just because I heard like that super loud organ,
yeah.
but in that melody. But yeah, there's some really cool ways could take the new music for sure.
I definitely want to have like that 60s or 70s sort of flair to it. The one thing I will say about this new album, I don't want to talk about it too much, just so I don't give too much away. But this album's going to be based around the Roaring Twenties, and I
Oh,
really want to focus in on sort of you're perpetually stuck on one day and in one location, and it's almost kind of like being in the point of view of a ghost. You know, you're like almost this like eternal purgatory. Everything, you know, that's all I'm going to say about it. I don't want to go too much into detail, but I mean, until more
a little
is
Groundhog Day type thing.
yes, very much. So there's going to be a lot of like almost like it has to do with time a lot, but doesn't. So I mean, that's what I'll say about that. But I definitely love almost like you're stuck in one place. There there was this old Disney cartoon. It's this VHS I have somewhere, and I'm sure it's on Disney Plus. But it was like a Mickey Mouse Christmas special, and there was like three different like stories told in it, and one of them was about Huey, Dewey, and Louie, Donald Duck's nephews, and they
Mm,
wanted it to be Christmas every day, and then they got their wish, and they were stuck in Christmas like perpetually, every day, every day, every day, and it's sort of like you know, it sort of killed them a little bit, not killed them
yeah.
literally, but that sort of was an inspiration for sure. But that's all I'll say. I heard I've already said too much.
On that note, did you see that movie from the 90s? I want to say it was like 92, 3, maybe 94. It's called straight up just Christmas Every Day.
I probably have. I want to say that I have.
I saw it when I was a kid and I remember it being like a really good movie, but it's the same theme. So I don't know if you wait till the holidays, definitely watch that one because it'll
For sure.
probably spark those same ideas. But yeah,
I
no, I love
definitely am that guy that watches Christmas movies though in the middle of summer. It's so
it's so hard to I mean, I'm a big fan of the holidays for sure, but it's so depressing. I tried that one time, it was, like, July one year, I'm like, "I'm gonna watch The Grinch," and, I, like, put it on the first 5 minutes, I'm like, "I can't do this, I'm depressed."
I watch Elf. I'll still watch Elf like in the middle of the year. Um and I kept when we played a show in New York, I kept referencing Elf because I was like, we went through the Lincoln Tunnel, so I was like,
Yeah.
I walked through the Lincoln Tunnel, and I tiptoed through the swirly whatever gumdrops, whatever the whole thing was. But yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Okay, well, one last thing, do you consider Harry Potter movies Christmas movies? I'm having this ongoing argument.
ooh, that's a good one. If anyone out there, I want to see other people. So whoever is tuning in right now, give us your answer. But I'm going to think about this for a second.
Does you know
Um,
Trevor? Trevor firmly
yeah,
believes that Harry Potter movies are Christmas movies, and I said, "I can see that, but they're
I can.
not Christmas movies."
I don't think so. Not all of them have Christmas in it, but I know that like Freeform or whatever like milks those films like
Yeah,
during the holidays. So
mhm,
they feel
definitely.
like Christmas movies, but I think to Americans, like anything with snow, like heavy snow, is like Christmas.
No, definitely, definitely. Even though, like, I mean, the first, whatever, 6 movies take place throughout the span of a year, and then, like, Deathly Hallows are, like, just the summer.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah,
summertime. So, I don't know. I guess you could go both ways with that. I
y-
I I guess that makes sense with it being like what was ABC Family when we were growing up. Like, they'd play them all the time in December. So that makes
yeah.
sense.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, I do associate Harry Potter 1 with Christmas, I suppose, because there's that whole sequence where, he gets a present, he gets the sweater with his initial on it, and
Yeah,
that whole thing. I mean, that brings me back for sure. I know
yeah.
for a fact I'm going to be going to Universal Studios to go to Hogwarts during Christmas time. My girlfriend and we've actually been talking. We're thinking about maybe going to Florida
Mm,
during Christmas time to go to because we want to go to Diagon Alley
yeah.
and and go
No,
on the
just
Hogwarts Express and
yeah.
have. I mean, we want ideally we would like to go to the Warner Brothers Studio Lot tour over in Britain and do
Oh,
like go through the real sets, and they do like special nights and stuff there, and
yeah.
that's something we would love to do someday. But you know,
Yeah, that would be really cool. I on my bucket list, it's to see the Cursed Child play.
oh yeah, we were gonna go see that a week before I was supposed to leave for tour, and it was playing in San Francisco. But
Mhm.
I just something happened. I just couldn't wait. I think the rehearsals got in the way of like
Yeah.
us flying out there and going to see it. But I know on the topic of fantasy, have you been watching? And I know you and I both are fans of Tolkien.
Oh,
Have you been
yes,
watching?
I have been watching it.
Okay, yeah, let's get
It's
into it.
so cool. Man, they really did a good job. I mean, a lot of, like, the streaming shows suck, besides, like, Mandalorian and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, but a lot of, like, the fast track, like, streaming stuff, like, there's some cool stuff. A lot of it's just, like, quick ways to make money, in my opinion, but
Mhm.
they really did a good job with, the new Lord of the Rings series, Rings of Power, that's what it's
Yeah.
called.
I don't want to put any
Um,
spoilers out there because I don't know if any of our viewers have actually watched the show yet because it's kind of like a week old now, the 2 episodes.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like,
And
being a, like, long time, like, hardcore fan of Lord of the Rings, like, I am, like, it was just really cool, and, like, I don't know, I'm a big gamer kind of on the side, and, like, playing a lot of Skyrim, if there's any, like, Skyrim fans, like, the beauty of that game and the music of that game, the new, like, Rings of Power made me think of that just because it was, like, so just the landscapes, the scenery, the music was just you could tell it really took their time,
I
and
love the callbacks, like in the like you can hear like in the music, like a lot of the callbacks to the original score.
mhm,
They'll have like slowed down versions of like Gandalf's theme, which
yeah,
yeah, never. That's just, I can't say that live on here, but there's
yeah,
just whew, there's a
yeah,
lot in that show that just makes you think, and you're like, wait, what? Huh?
yeah,
And I
yeah,
love how though they're exploring half-foots and
mhm,
supposed like instead of
the,
just
like,
like yeah.
Hobbit's ancestors.
Yeah,
Yeah,
'cause
really cool.
I was always intrigued about learning about those and, like, there's just a lot of stuff in there that's just like, "Oh, cool, see, I wish I coulda seen this in the film," you know?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I'm super excited to see where they just, like, continue to go with it because I mean, it's only the first 2 episodes, and so far I'm like, "Oh, like, every other scene. So, it's gonna be cool to see, like, what surprises, I guess, come,
Yeah.
with the next or the rest of the show.
Mhm. I know, I have so many theories. Theories I cannot speak about because I'm not a Lord of the Rings channel, I'm a music channel, and, people can go to there, and I could have a whole disclaimer about spoilers at the beginning of the video, but we're already too deep here, and we're live, so
Yeah.
But if you guys haven't watched the Rings of Power show, go watch it. For me, it's like I love the Hobbit movies, but they never gave me that like Lord of the Rings feeling when I watched them. And I feel like this series definitely makes because I remember watching Lord of the Rings, the films when I was like shit, I probably was like 7 or 8 years old
Yeah, same
in
here.
the yeah. Just sitting in the movie theater with my dad sneaking us into those movies and not telling my mom because they were kind of violent, kind of scary,
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
loved it. So,
yeah. No,
definitely brings me back.
for the longest time, I always wore, like, the one ring, like, I had, like, a little replica. It was, like, a
Ah.
cheapy, like, $5 thing that I'd wear on a chain for, like, ever. And I was obsessed.
Yeah. Hey, maybe Universal Studios finally makes that Lord of the Rings land that they keep rumoring about for
Oh, I
years.
know. I think
And
they really need to. I mean, that would be the time with the
that
show
would
and everything.
the show's gonna pop off and they're gonna wanna do to Lord of the Rings what they're doing to like Star Wars and
Yeah,
Game of Thrones. So
yeah.
I feel like it. Lord of the Rings is definitely going to come back in a big way, and Universal's got this whole new theme park being built, and they have these lands that they haven't named yet. And I'm thinking Lord of the Rings might be one of them.
Yeah, because I want to say like the map that you had sent me, like the new
Mm-hmm.
like what they plan the park to look like. One of the areas um looked almost like the Shire, just on like the map that they had made. I don't know.
For sure. Yeah,
I think
no,
that
it
was
definitely
what we were
did.
trying to guess or something.
I
Connect
know they have
dots.
announced already that they're going to do a Universal horror themed, like classic black and white Universal horror themed area. So that's
Oh,
cool. That's already
yeah,
got
that's
me on
pretty cool.
board.
Yeah, that's this year or
Uh,
they're
I don't know.
uh,
Probably next year. I know
gotcha.
we're getting Super Nintendo World out
Oh
here.
yeah. There's one in Japan, is it? Right?
Yeah.
They have one in Japan.
It looks awesome.
Yeah.
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 Well, we're getting to the end of this show here, man. I want to say thank you so much for tuning in. I want to say thank you to everyone who's been watching this. As you guys know, you can watch this video again. We're going to just leave it here on YouTube for your pretty little eyes and ears to gaze upon it. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in. This was the Cybernetic Séance Podcast, episode 7. Thank you so much to Brenton Fergeson of Blood Pact. Is there anything you can do before, or you can say before we hop off here? Like plug your music, plug your socials, all that good stuff.
Well, I want to thank Ryan for having me on today. Longtime friend, and I'm glad that we stayed in touch all these years. Um, but as far as like my media goes, you can't I don't have like a Spotify or iTunes page yet because the album's not out, but Friday it'll be live. My Instagram, if Ryan links that down as well, that's cool. But it's Brenton Brenton .ferg. It's kind of all I use at the moment. I'm not really on Facebook or Twitter for music or anything, but yeah, that is
Yeah.
where you can find me.
Well, thank you, Brenton. And thank you, everyone else tuning in. Remember, the Cybernetic Séance podcast is live every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Now, believe we'll be airing next week. Yes, we are. We got a show next week with the boy Captain Life. He'll be on, and that'll be a cool episode. Grim was supposed to be on this week, but he'll be on the following week after Captain Life. So everyone tune into those episodes. It's going to be great. Oh, and in case you guys do not know, Our Frankenstein is coming back. We got a special live in-person show in Downey, California. That's basically Los Angeles.
Club
And
Terminal, right?
yeah, Club
Yeah.
Terminal, folks. We got live support from the Androgen DJs, Terminal, Revenant, and Terror. This is gonna be a fun one. So bring your dancing shoes, guys. Bring your friends, your mommies, your daddies, your babies. Don't bring babies. Actually, I would not suggest it. This is a 21 plus show. But yes, yeah. So that's happening, guys. But thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Once again, I was Ryan Laney. This is Brenton signing off. Goodbye.